So what's up? Margot reached out to me about how to use Bitcoin. I mean, what's it all about and how to use it? And actually, how to actually use this thing because they always say Michael Saylor said that you could just hold on to it forever and never ever sell it ever. And I thought, wow, that doesn't really make sense. But she reached out to me, so we're gonna talk about using it and what we can do. So hi, Margot. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. And by the way, I don't think Bitcoin was originally designed to be just held, right? It was supposed to be peer-to-peer digital cash. So that's what I want to know. How do you use it? I'm actually wanting to educate people who are totally non-tech savvy and maybe know nothing about Bitcoin. Maybe they only now have heard about it because there's now a lot of news or a lot of information and news about Bitcoin, and there's an ETF by BlackRock, and there's Ethereum ETF, and there's more and more information out about blockchain. But like me, until 2020, I had no idea that any of this even existed. I was so involved in my own work, in my own life. I'm not technology minded, so that wasn't even on my radar until I started researching in 2020 about what was happening with COVID and how come the entire world was locked down and we couldn't work and we couldn't do this and we couldn't do that unless we had this little green check mark on our telephone that allowed us to now go into a store or go visit our family or go to a restaurant. So that kind of woke me up to looking, wait a moment, technology is being used in a way that is restricting our freedom and our free choices and movement. And so that's when I first learned about Bitcoin. And so Bitcoin right now is this big thing because it went from very little cents to now I think it's 120 something thousand dollars. So when I first learned about Bitcoin, it was $6,000 and it was considered peer-to-peer digital cash. That's what I first learned in 2020 when I listened to people online talk about Bitcoin. That's what it was. And so there were apparently Bitcoin ATMs. People could go and just put $10 in. They could get Bitcoin out and they could pay with Bitcoin. I didn't understand how this all worked, but there were ATMs all over the place. I heard from Catherine Austin Fitz in Switzerland or in Germany on the train stations. They had ATMs for Bitcoin. So Bitcoin was a big thing, not considered as a holding mechanism, but as a peer-to-peer digital cash system that people could pay pizza with and a coffee with and send $5 to their friends. And so that's what I was interested in because I noticed during 2020, people who spoke up against the COVID measures and were interested in freedom and being able to have free movement and be able to go shopping and to the gym and to the beach and their kids go to school, were restricted and their finances were turned off. People's bank accounts were turned off. And that happened to a lot of medical doctors. It happened to Dr. Mercola. His entire office staff and their family members, the bank accounts were shut down. That happened in Germany. It happened in Switzerland. It happened in many places in the US. So I've never heard of such a thing that suddenly the banks close down people's bank accounts, or suddenly you're no longer able to access your own money that you put in the bank that is yours. And so it freaked me out. It's like, well, how can I do business in this world when suddenly there's technology unraveling that we didn't even know existed that at any moment can shut us down? And I had a YouTube video taken down. And they had an entire website taken down because I had the word in it. And for some reason, that word was not allowed to be used in YouTube. and so it's like, really, what's going on? It's like in 2020, suddenly I woke up into a world I didn't know existed, had never anticipated that this could ever happen. I come from Austria. We had dictatorship where you couldn't speak and your neighbors were calling on you if you said something that wasn't right. So that's in my family history. So when that happened in the US in 2020 with COVID, all of my hairs stood up on it. I knew something is so wrong about what was going on. And so I did research. And when I came upon Bitcoin that said peer-to-peer, digital cash between people, we interchange our own money. No middleman, no bank, no on-rail, no Visa, MasterCard on-ramps. I thought, okay, that's a good idea. I didn't understand how to use it. It was so complicated back then. You had to sign up for Coinbase or some kind of a platform. You had to do your KYC. You had to give all of your personal information, which already I didn't want to do, because then it's not cash, right? It's not with cash. Nobody knows that you have it. You earned it. It's yours. It's nobody's business how much money you earned. Well, that's how I grew up with, anyway, with that understanding. And so now, when that happened, that I needed to now give KYC, which is know your customer type of information, your print of your thumb or your iris scans, or, my entire driver's license. The companies wanted that in order for me to link my bank account so I could get Bitcoin. I just said, no, I don't want to be part of that system. So I began more and more researching what's going on. Nothing felt right about how a freedom, supposedly America was supposed to be functioning. And so I never bought Bitcoin. It was $6,000 then. It's now 120,000. So I could have made a nice little sum of money in those last 5 years. But when in the end of 2020 and beginning of 2021, a lot of people who are new to Bitcoin, who have never heard of any of this, will not know this backstory. But because I lived it, I can talk about it. Michael Saylor is a person who has invested lots and lots of money into Bitcoin and has been a proponent of Bitcoin not being digital peer-to-peer cash, but being a system of digital gold, which means you buy a Bitcoin and you hold it in your wallet and you never use it. It's just like regular gold. You buy it as a safe haven, you put it in your safe or you put it in the bank, and you don't touch it because over time it will go, the value will go up, and then you'll have more money in your safe because the value of gold has risen. And that was the idea that was suddenly propagandized by this one person, Michael Saylor. He came out of nowhere. I had not heard him during the entire 2020 when I was doing my research. And it seemed like there was this, a door opened up that this was not a movement where Bitcoin was going to go into this direction of all of us holding Bitcoin and using it as a store of value. So that's not cash. Cash is used, you go to the grocer and you buy your groceries with, or you buy gas with. So it's a very different concept from using Bitcoin as digital cash, as peer-to-peer, small amounts going between people, versus hodling, which is a weird word, but hodling your Bitcoin in a safe, somewhere, and it's going to go up and up and up and up. And so then the other propaganda that was put out, it's number go up. It's not peer-to-peer. Now it's digital gold and number going up. So people now, when they hear about Bitcoin, I don't know, have to forgotten it's supposed to be a peer-to-peer, because a lot of people that I listened to in the beginning in 2020 who talked about digital cash peer-to-peer, they flipped and now are talking about holding and digital gold and number going up. So it seems like even the people who initially were interested in Bitcoin as a peer-to-peer, no middleman system of financial interchange, somehow they were moved into this number go up scheme where Bitcoin was hijacked. So I think to me anyway, Bitcoin was hijacked, or the propaganda, the messaging was hijacked at the end of 2020, when everybody was so focused on COVID and nobody could think straight, to everybody was at home, everybody was on YouTube, everybody was watching what was going on in the world. And so that's when, to me, the whole narrative shifted, and I could see it because that narrative wasn't there during the beginning of 2020 doing my research. And initially, I listened to quite a few videos by him. And initially, what he was saying seemed like a reasonable idea. I thought, okay, so if you buy it, you're not using it, and it goes up in value, that maybe, I mean, that is good also with regular money. Like I grew up in Austria, we had shillings. In Italy, they had liras. In Germany, they had marks, right? In England, they had pounds, and in Switzerland, they have francs. So when we went from one country to another, we got more money by going to a different country. So we could actually buy more because our money, the shilling, was worth more than there. So I understood that idea of value exchange, that you have something that grows in value maybe over time. Of course, gold, the same thing has happened. Real estate, right? We understand that aspect. So initially, when I thought about what he was saying, it seemed like a good idea. Yeah, okay, so you hold it and then it keeps going up in value. Where my red flag came in was when in 2023, institutions came in and they started talking about using Bitcoin and creating an ETF. And banks suddenly talked about Bitcoin and crypto as being part of the institutional and banking system. And it's like, whoa, wait a moment. So Bitcoin is supposed to be peer-to-peer, no middleman, no banks, no fees. We are exchanging between us digital cash. That's our money that we hold ourselves in our wallets. And suddenly the banks are getting involved. So that was to me, the second red flag where I realized, okay, now Bitcoin has been hijacked. It started in the beginning of 2021 with the digital gold hijacking propaganda. And then when the banks started coming in, that was a very clear sign something has happened with Bitcoin, or the original Bitcoin, where it's now no longer sold that way. Apparently, the fees had gone up because one of the things that I understood with Bitcoin, the original Bitcoin, the fees are very low. So you can use it for coffee. You can use it to buy pizza, right? The fees to use it would be like 0.000 cents. So a very cheap transaction fee. And what I learned, since I had never bought Bitcoin, so I didn't have that experience, but people were saying the fees had gone up. So instead of the fees being 0.001 or something, now it costs $40 and maybe cost half an hour to get a transfer of Bitcoin. So everything had changed from what it's supposed to be, or what I understood from when I first researched what it's supposed to be. So the other thing that I noticed, I just want to give you kind of a background, or particularly people who are listening, who are also new to Bitcoin. I'm not new, I have done a lot of research, but I still don't know how to use it. That's why I asked Gavin to help me, to show me how to do this, and hopefully educate you in case you're interested in using the real Bitcoin in your own life for peer-to-peer digital cash transactions. But the other thing that I found so fascinating during 2020, 2021, BlackRock CEO Larry Fink, Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan, I think the bank he owns, and many other top economists and banking and finance officials, they were all saying Bitcoin is a fraud. Do not invest in it. It's going to go to zero. It's bad. It's a bad investment. Don't listen to these freaks that are talking about buying Bitcoin. And those high-level executives who were on YouTube, who put up newspaper articles and gave interviews, they were dissing Bitcoin and Ethereum and some of the other coins, and making it sound like anyone who was interested in it was just a freak. They were stupid, they were crazy, they were conspiracy theorists, and just don't believe them because they are nonsensical, promoting something that's just going to go to zero and you'll lose all of your money. And in 2023, suddenly they're coming out with the ETF. And now they're talking about it being a banking system. And now in 25, they're talking about Bitcoin Reserve. And now suddenly this coin that was supposed to go down to zero is 120,000. And they're talking about Bitcoin will be 500,000, it will be 1 million, it will be 10 million, and it will be 1 billion, one coin of Bitcoin. And it's like, we've been lied to this entire time. From the very get-go, we have been lied to about Bitcoin, about blockchain, about crypto. And last night, to prepare for our phone call, I was up until 3 in the morning and was doing all kinds of research. What I have learned, and I wasn't really aware of any of this because I've been not really that interested, but all of the financial institutions, all of the banks all over the world, so that's Europe, that's in Central America, in Asia, China, of course, Russia, Dubai, since 2016, they have been implementing these blockchain technologies. There is so many companies that are now offering on the institutional financial level where trading happens for huge $1 million funds, investment funds, all of that. They have been preparing this entire time. They have all these rails already set up to now, since Trump had put out this Genius Act on the Clarity Act, which is coming out, which makes crypto and stable coins and Bitcoin into an asset class that is protected by the government, and there's regulations put out. And until this year, none of that existed. But all of the rails were the entire time prepared, while all of the people in the news, the high-level executives with the nice outfits, that nice hair, and all sleek sitting in front, and oh, Bitcoin is terrible, and Ethereum is crazy, and everybody, don't listen. And they were building the entire time behind the scenes these on-ramps, and now they're rolling them out. And there's lots of websites. I can send them to you so you can put them below this video. People can look at it. Yeah. So there is Rails for Solana, there's Rails for Ethereum, there's Rails for Cardano, there's Rails for all kinds of different cryptos and it's linked with BlackRock, with Bank of England, and Dubai banks, and Swiss banks, and Bank of International Settlements, and all kinds of investment firms. They have all the rails all ready to go. They already have been, since 2017, interacting with these coins in the background, underneath themselves, within their own financial institutions. And in the front, to us in the news, they were telling us, it's crazy, don't look there, it's bad, don't ever think about this is a good idea. So I am so pissed and upset at the lies that we have been told this entire time about everything, about COVID, about locking us down, about what else that we are not allowed to talk about health issues that are generated by complete lies, fabrications of telling us this and this is bad if you do this, when the exact opposite is true. On the financial side, to make sure people lose more and more of their money with inflation, with all of this crazy spending that the US does. We are so lied to about so many areas in life, and I am so sick of it. Everybody on the top level of government, of financial institutions, in the health institutions, in the education institutions, everywhere you look, they're all lying. So as a person, just a regular freedom-loving person who wants to live a good life and assist other people to have a good life, because that is my profession, and of course wants every human being to live a good life. I mean, that's what we're here for on earth, yeah, to create a life that is better and better and better with each generation. We have gone backwards. When I grew up, we had freedoms that now just don't exist anymore. And the young generation have no idea what kind of freedoms we have, because they grew up with this surveillance and restrictive regulations and system that they just take for normal. And it's not normal. We are not living in a normal world. We're living in such a tight little tiny box, and it's getting tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. And I feel so pushed from the inside to educate people and say, wake up, something is happening. You can't be asleep now. You have to wake up and know about what's going on. Because to me, the next movement is to steal all of this money away from people and put it in stable coins that can be surveilled, restricted, and just expire, that you don't actually have money anymore that's yours, that can expire if you don't use your monthly allotment or your monthly amount that you have in your stablecoin wallet or whatever, CBDC wallet. It can expire and then you lose it all. So the idea that we actually own our own money, that's on the way out. And people need to be aware of this.
Yeah. The
So,
next move is going to be JP Morgan's going to come out with JP Morgan coin, and the others are going to come out with their coins, and they're
yeah.
going to say, hey, use the JP Morgan coin when you bank with us, and we're going to give you free movie tickets and McDonald's passes, and you're going to get bonuses at the grocery store by using it. And the great thing is we'll be able to help balance your budget better so that you get certain amount of money allocated to all your expenses better. It'll be a lot easier for you to use and account for all your spending with our coin. It's going to be valuable to you. So this is going to be the next pitch.
Cool.
That's coming. That's
I
coming very
haven't heard
soon.
that one yet.
Oh yeah, that's coming. That's coming. That'll be once they get the stable coin rails and all that, that's going to be the
Yeah,
next pitch. It'll be the selling pitch, and everyone's going to say,
yeah.
this sounds great. Wow. I get all these benefits. So
Yes.
yeah, that's coming. But that's why we need Bitcoin, because we have no need to be surrendering to all those our freedoms to those people. And why? When we could just use cash.